So now we'll see what are the setups need to be completed to create the chart of accounts in the system. Within instance, to create the chart of account, what are the detailed setups we need to perform, we'll go through. So say chart of accounts. To create the chart of accounts within instance, primarily we have to complete setups like, first we have to create the value set. So for every segment, we have to create the value set so that we can maintain the values in the respective value set. Those value sets can be assigned to segments. First, we have to create the value sets as a part of chart of account setup. Create value sets. After creating the value set, we have to create the structure name. Okay, the chart of account structure name we have to create. Say, create chart of accounts structure. You can say structure or structure name. Okay, you can call it as structure or structure name. First, we have to create the value sets. Then we have to create the chart of account structure. So within that structure, we have to create the segments. We have to create the segments. So these are the segments we plan to create. Those segments we have to create within the chart of account structure. So create segments. So after creating the segments, we need to create values in those. Before that, what we have to do is, first we are creating the value sets, then we are creating the structure. Within the structure, we are creating the segments. For each segment, we have to assign the relevant value set. For each segment, we have to assign the value set. So here we discussed each value set we have to assign to respective segment. The same we have to complete as a setup. Assign value set to segment. Assign value set to segment. After assigning the value set to segment, you have to assign segment labels to segment. We'll come to know all these, what are these labels and all. For now, take a point, what process need to be followed. You have to assign segment labels to segments. We have to assign segment labels to segments. After assigning the segment labels to segments, we have to create chart of account structure instance. Create chart of account structure instance. Create chart of account structure instance. So after creating the instance, we have to deploy accounting key flex field. Where we are going to create the chart of accounts? Within the accounting key flex field. Within the accounting key flex field, we are going to create the chart of accounts. That chart of accounts need to be deployed. After deploying the chart of accounts structure and instance, inside of accounting key flex field, we are going to create all these. These all need to be submitted for validation. That we call as a deployment. Don't try to understand. It takes some time. You no need to try to understand. We'll just go through this and we'll see in the system. Then you give a try from your end. Then you check yourself. You are clear about it or not. Just make a note of these points. That's all. Once we do in the system, and if you try from your end, things will become more clear. After deploying the accounting key flex field, we have to create values in the value sets. So what are the value sets we are creating? Within those value sets, we have to create the segment values. The company value set, company segments, department value set, department values. So these we have to create. That you can say create values in value sets. Okay, create values in value sets. After creating the values in value sets, we have to associate value attributes to values. So set value attributes to, okay, set value attributes to values. Set value attributes to values, or you can say segment values. So these are the steps we have to perform so that our chart of accounts should be ready. Okay, these are the steps need to be performed so that our chart of accounts should be ready. So when we talk about create value sets, how many value sets we have to create? How many segments we are going to create within the chart of accounts? Those many value sets we have to create. Okay, for each segment, you have to create the value set. So we are going to have, say, these many segments. Service line is not required. Let's remove that. So these are the 7 segments we are going to create. Okay, these are the 7 segments we are going to create. For 7 segments, we have to create the 7 value sets. After creating the value sets, we have to create the chart of account structure, or you can call it chart of account structure name. Nothing but giving the title. Okay, giving the title. After creating the structure name, within that we have to create these segments. All these segments we have to create. For each segment, we have to assign the value set. For company segment, company value set, account value set, account segment, account value set. So that's how for each segment we have to assign respective value set. After assigning the value sets to segments, we have to assign segment labels to segments. We have to assign segment labels to segments. Why we have to assign? We cannot understand now. Even we discuss, it doesn't make sense for us because we are not entered into the system and the where those will impact. For now, just you make a note. Just make a note. I'm going to address which labels, which segment labels we need to assign to which segment. I'm going to talk about it. Those points, just make a note and memorize those. For company segment, we have to assign one label. Okay, for company segment, we have to assign one segment label called as primary balancing segment label. Primary balancing segment label. For company, we have to assign the primary balancing segment label. Just make a note. No need to understand now. We need some time to talk about this. Department segment, you can assign segment label called as cost center segment label. For department, you have to assign cost center segment label. And for account segment, you have to assign natural account segment label. For account segment, we have to assign natural account segment label. For intercompany segment, we have to assign intercompany segment label. Intercompany segment label. So rest not required. So here for these 4 segments, we have to assign these 4 labels. Out of these 4, 2 are mandatory, 2 are compulsory. If you are creating the chart of accounts, minimum 2 labels we have to assign. What are those 2 labels? Company, primary balancing segment label you have to assign. For account, you have to assign natural account segment label. For company, you have to assign primary balancing segment label, and account, you have to assign natural account segment label. These two labels are mandatory in every implementation. These two you have to assign. Just make a note. Two we have to assign. Why we have to assign will come to. Now we should not try to understand because we are not doing any transactions. Once you start creating the transaction, we will discuss so that you can see the proof what we are trying to understand about those two labels. Okay, these are segment labels we call. These are segment labels. So for company, primary balancing segment label, for department segment, cost center segment label, account segment, natural account segment label, and intercompany segment label. These are the segment labels we have to assign to respective segments. And so when you talk about accounts, here if you take this example, these are the few accounts we created. So whenever you create account in the system, you have to specify the nature of account. What type of account is that? Whether that account is asset type or liability or revenue or expense. What type of account that we have to set up whenever we create the segment values. Here you can take this point. Whenever you create segment values, whenever you create the segment values in the value sets, you have to set account types. Okay, you have to set account types. What are the different account types we have? Don't worry if you are not aware of those. We will come to know and we'll see in the system so that it would be more clear. So we have account types called as expense, revenue, assets, liabilities, ownership or owner's equity you can call. These are the 5 types of accounts we have. We have 5 types of accounts. When we are going to create these accounts in the system, salaries means which type of account we have to select. Travel expenses, which type of account. Purchasing laptops is which type of account. Selling laptops, what type of accounts. Rent payments, bank accounts. These all are which type of accounts we have to set in the system. Okay, by picking the right type, we have to set which account is what type you have to set in the system. When you set these account types in the system, you no need to decide on anything. Okay, you no need to decide on anything. So client will provide all the accounts what they are doing as a part of business, whatever the accounts they are using, all the accounts they will provide. And by following the same information, we have to create in the system. Client will provide all the accounts what they are using, which account is what type. That information also will get from the client. By using which template, by using which sheet or which document we can collect that information, we will understand after a few classes. For now, the simple point is, what are the accounts we create within the system? All the accounts information we get from the client, and for each and every account, they set the nature of account. Nature of account is nothing but type of account. Okay, so accordingly, that information we have to create in the system. This is what we have to understand. So when we talk about set value attributes to segment values, there we set the type of account and whatever it is applicable based on the segment what you are dealing with. Okay, so these are the few points you have to make a note. No need to understand now. Don't try to understand anything. Just I'm trying to introduce the terminology and what are the steps we are going to follow. We are discussing here. Okay, So first we create the value sets, then we'll create the structure, we'll create the segments. For each segment, we assign the value sets, and we have to assign segment labels. These are the labels we have to assign to these respective segments. After completing all these setups, you have to create chart of account structure instance. So chart of account structure instance is nothing but the copy of chart of account structure. Here, by following these setups, we create the chart of account structure. Once you create the chart of account structure, that you cannot use within our instance. Within our system, you cannot use the chart of accounts as it is. What you have to do is, you have to copy it. Okay, you have to copy. You have to copy the chart of account structure and you have to create instance. Chart of account structure instance is nothing but, instance means copy. The copy of chart of account structure you are calling as instance. Now we are going to create the chart of accounts by performing all these setups. The same chart of account structure you are going to copy, that we are calling as instance. This is all where we are going to create within the accounting key flex field. Since this all we are going to create within the accounting key flex field, that accounting key flex field we have to submit for validation. Okay, that accounting key flex field we have to submit for validation. We have to submit for validation. So once that is validated, you can create values in the value sets. When you submit this deploy accounting key flex field, means we are submitting for validation. When you submit this deploy accounting key flex field, what system will do is, system will verify within the chart of accounts, minimum these two labels are assigned to respective segments or not, it will verify. Okay, whenever you submit for a deployment, deployment is nothing but validation. We are going to submit our accounting key flex field for validation, where we are going to have our chart of account structure and instance in the same accounting key flex field. Once you submit this accounting key flex field for validation, within this accounting key flex field, what are the chart of account structure we are creating, within the structure, it will verify primary balancing segment label and natural account segment labels are assigned to respective segments or not. In any one of the chart of account, if primary balancing segment label or natural account segment labels are missing, the deployment process will end with an error. Okay, system cannot complete the deployment. Okay. This deployment process cannot be completed if your chart of account is not deployed, your chart of account is not validated, you cannot use that in the system. Okay, you cannot use to capture the description of the transaction. So that is the reason we have to deploy it. Then we have to create values in the value sets. Okay, we have to create the values in the value sets. Finally, we have to set value attributes to segment values. We will see what does it mean by value attributes to segment values. So these are the sequence of setups we have to perform in the system so that our chart of accounts should be ready. So before we proceed with the system, any questions from anyone, please? Any questions from anyone?
So actually in this, in company, when you create primary balancing segment or an account, so these are mandatory, right? Is in company, we have to create primary balancing segment. Is it like that?
Creation not, we have to assign.
Assign, okay.
Assign. Those are there already in the system. Oracle is providing segment labels. We don't need to create anything. So whatever Oracle is providing, those we have to assign to respective segments. Why we have to assign primary balancing segment label only to company? Why natural account segment label to account only? These all will come to know. As of now, just make a note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have to assign. The term is we have to assign, not creation. Any other questions, please?
Lakshman, why can't we use COA as it is and we have to create an instance? I mean, is there any specific reason?
Yes, we are going to do the same. The COA, chart of accounts, we are going to convert as instance.
No, but why that is needed? I mean, why do we
Yeah,
need to
that you will come to know in the system. Okay, I'll explain.
Okay.
I'll explain. When we create instance, I'll talk about that. Otherwise, without seeing anything, it would be like I'm dumping some data, even that is very relevant and it makes sense. In this stage, it doesn't make sense. Okay.
Okay.
I'll explain. I'll explain. By the time you create a chart of account structure instance, you can understand. You may be from EBS background, may not be from EBS background. You will come to know there is a specific reason why Oracle introduced chart of account structure instance that I'll explain.
Okay.
As of now, just you take the point as the chart of account structure we are copying and that we are creating as a instance. That's it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? Okay. So no questions. If no questions, we'll go and see how to create the value sets within the instance. Okay. Here instance means we are talking about system. This instance means the copy of chart of account structure. What are the instance we are talking? That is system. There also instance means copy. Which copy? Software copy. The software copy we are calling as instance, where we can have all the applications. Yep. Fine. Now we'll go to the instance and we'll see that. Okay. So now go to the implementation project, whatever we created. Okay. In our previous sessions, we created implementation project. Go to that implementation project. Click on setup and maintenance. It will take us to FSM. Okay. We are in the FSM home page. Now click on task list and click on manage implementation projects. Click on manage implementation projects and click on overview. So what are the project is assigned to this user that you can see now. This is the project is assigned to our user. So open that project. We have to perform the setups. For that, open that. What is the first step? Create value sets. The value sets, whatever you are going to create, those we are going to use within the chart of accounts. To use the value sets within the chart of accounts, for these segments, we are going to create value set. That is the reason Oracle given that task name as chart of accounts value sets. Okay, search for chart of accounts value sets. Search. Here you can see the full task name. You can drag little right this column. The task name is manage chart of accounts value sets. Okay, manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets. And if you look at this list of tasks, it follows the same sequence, whatever we discussed. First, we have to create the value sets. Yes, you can see in the system. First, we have to create the value sets. After creating value sets, we have to create chart of account structure. Yes, we have a task called as manage chart of account structures. Within the same task, we can create segments. We can assign value sets to segments, and we can assign labels to segments. These four activities you can perform in the system by using the same task. Manage chart of account structures. By using the task, you can perform these four activities. The next one is we have to create chart of account structure instance. Instance is nothing but copy of this chart of account structure. We have to create as instance. To create the instance, we have a task. Manage chart of account structure instances. Once that is done, we have to perform the deployment. Yes, deployment you can do from this task or this task. Any one of the tasks you can take. Reality, these two tasks will take us to same page. chart of accounts creation page it will take. From there, you can create the structure as well as instance. Then you have to create values in the value sets. To create the values in the value sets, here we have a task. Okay, to create the values in the value sets, here we have a task called as manage chart of accounts value set values. Within this value set, when you are creating the values, we have to set value attributes to segment values. So if you are going to list out all the companies, for companies, we have to set value attributes. If you are listing out departments, yes, we have to set value attributes. So that's how we have to set up value attributes. Okay. So that's how we have to set up value attributes in the value sets when you create the values. That we will see more detailed level in the system. So same sequence. Okay. What are the sequence we are talking about here? Accordingly, we have a tasks in the system. Okay, it means the tasks what we have in the system that also follows the sequence of the setups what need to be performed. This is what we have to understand. And any questions here, please? Any questions from anyone, please? If no questions, we'll see in the system how to create value sets and rest of setups. Any questions from anyone, please? No questions. Now we'll see how to create the value sets in the instance. So task name is, please make a note of each and every point what we are discussing. It could be task name or it could be the activity what we are doing in the system as a setup. So try to capture each and every point. That will help you when you practice and when you attend for interviews. When you prepare for interviews, that information will help you. If you are planning to attend interviews and other aspects. So this is the task name. Click on go to task icon. Okay, click on go to task icon. Now here is the page where you can create the value sets. By clicking on create, you can create the value sets. If you want to find out the existing value sets, you can search. You can give the value set name here and you can find out. But we never created any value sets. We are going to create new value set. To create the new value set, click on this create icon. Okay, click on this create icon. So in this page, you can create the value sets. So when you create the value sets, ideally you can give the company name as a prefix within the value set, whatever you create. So how many value sets we have to create? For each segment, one value set we have to create. Let's see that. First, we are going to create the value set for company. So what is the company name we are using here? Max. You can say Max Company. You can give the value set name as Max Company. That is a value set code, or you can just call as a name. The same you can take as a description. Again, description is optional field. So where we are going to use this value set, we are going to use in the chart of accounts. Chart of accounts where we are going to create, chart of accounts we are going to create within the accounting key flex field. Where we have accounting key flex field in the GL. So that means the value set what we are creating, that we are creating within the GL, that is the point we have to specify here. The value set what we are creating for which module? Module is nothing but application. For which application you are creating this value set? We are creating this value set to use in general ledger application. So select application as a general ledger. And select validation type. Here we have a list of validation types. You will come to know, but primarily what we use is independent. Select independent. Later you will understand what is dependent and other values. Okay. Primarily this is the one we use in every implementation. Validation type independent. So what does it mean by independent? Within the company value set, whatever the companies we are going to list out, those all are independent. Those are not going to depend on any other values. Those are going to be independent. when we are going to create the companies within this company value set, so how you want to create the company names, that you can set. If I select number, only I can enter the number. Okay, if I select the number, I can enter only number. If I select the date only, I can give the date. Okay, we don't need any date for company names. We don't need any numbers. Maybe you want to give the company code, but you should be able to write the exact name. To support alphanumeric, you can select character. Select character so that whatever the companies you are going to create, for those companies, this is how you can give the company codes like 1, 2, 3, and you can write the company description like this. 1 means what, 2 means what. That everything you can write more detail level with the company code and description. For that, you can use value data type as a character. Character will support alphanumeric. And select value subtype. Select value subtype as a text so that you can write the company names and you can enter the company codes also. Rest all are related to time and numbering, etc. Choose text. And when we are going to create the company codes within this value set, what should be the length? If you see, for these companies, we given company codes like 1, 2, 3. What is the length? Only 1 digit. Here you can specify company code you need in how many digits. Few clients use the size as a 2. Few can use 3 or 4 or 5, 6 also. Okay, 2 to 6 range you can see for reality. When we talk to the client, they choose that the maximum size, their company codes they need in 2 digits or 3 digits or 4 or 5 or 6. When we talk to the client, that can be finalized accordingly. You can set this maximum length. So if it is a 2 digits, generally you may set as a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or else you can set intermediate values also like 10, 15, 12. Okay, this is how you can give the codes for the companies. For that, you may use maximum length as a 2. If you choose maximum length as a 2, you can create company codes up to 99. In the 2 digits, highest number is 2 to 99. You can create up to 99 values, nothing but 99 companies. So that's how you can define. In reality, we give 3 or 4 or 5, 2 also. So here for our testing purpose, I am going to give 4. So we can create the company codes with the 4 digits. You may create like 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000. This is how you can create. So maximum value and minimum value. If I give 4, I can start from 0. I can create up to 9999 values I can create. Those many companies I can create. It allows from 0. It allows max 9999. If you want to restrict, what are the company codes we are going to enter? That codes should be between certain values that you can set here. I can say 1000 to 9000. Within this company value set, if somebody is going to create the company, somebody is going to list out the companies, they cannot create any company code which is less than 1000, which is more than 9000. Any company code should be between this 1000 and 9000. That's how you can set a rule. And uppercase only. If you are going to create the company description, see, you can see in the spreadsheet, I written here company name, Max Financial Services. Max I written in the uppercase, but in the financial services, F I written as a uppercase, rest of our letters are lowercase. If I enable this checkbox, you cannot create like this. As a financials, F capital, rest of letters are smaller. You have to enter everything like Max. Here all are uppercase. In the same way, the complete name you have to provide as a uppercase only. We are setting the rule. And zero fill. Say for example, I'm not going to use this maximum and minimum values. And if I enable zero fill, what system will do is, when we are going to create the companies, if I enter, for example, 1, what is the maximum length? 4. zero fill we set. Total 4 digits, but you enter only 1 digit, it will fill remaining digits in zeros. If you create the company code with 10, total should be 4. Since you are enabling zero fill, it will fill remaining the digits in zeros. If you don't enable the checkbox, if you enter 10, it will be 10 on. If you enter 100, it would be 100. If you enter 1000, it would be 1000 on. So whenever you are entering any company code with less than 4 digits, rest of digits can be filled by system with zeros automatically. For that, you can enable zero fill. And here
Lakshman, zeros will be filled prefix only, right?
Sorry?
Here zeros will be filled in prefix only.
Not prefix, those are company codes. Okay, here zeros. Okay, you're talking about zeros. Yeah, only prefix. See, if you enter 1, it will come before.
Okay.
See, if it is coming as a suffix, it doesn't make sense, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I will enter 1. How come system can make it this is 1000? Yeah. So prefix only, yes, it will add before, not after. And here is the one checkbox under this field. This is related to separate concept. Okay, when we deal with the concept, we'll come to know about this. For now, you don't need to focus on that. Our target is creating the value set. Our target is creating the value set. You don't need to focus on those. The checkbox on this field. These are related to separate concept, which you call as security rules. When we work on general ledger application, within the general ledger, we have many concepts. One of the concept is secure rules. When we talk about secure rules, we'll come back to this value set and we will work on how this can be enabled, how we can create something after entering some text. This tab will get enabled and you can create something. This is all you will understand. For now, don't focus on this. This is not related to value set creation, but this is there at a value set level. When you talk about value set creation, so first we have to provide value set code. Description is not mandatory. You can see there is no star mark. Okay, it is optional. If you want to enter, you can enter, or else you can ignore. And module. This value set you are going to use in which module? General ledger application. And validation type, there are many, but 99% we use this only. Rest also we'll talk about it. Take as an independent.
Just only one question there. Usually the module will be general ledger only, right? We may not create value sets in account receivables or something because we are trying to create a chart of account structure. So should that be only a read-only thing? Just only general ledger is applicable, isn't that? Or are there cases that even AR can be selected?
This is just for classification. You can use anywhere this. Okay, tomorrow you want to verify how many value sets are already created for GL. If you are not tagging with the general ledger, how do you trace? Okay, that is the purpose. You can use wherever that provision is available in the system to use. Think it is not going to be restricted for GL only. Okay, just for planning purpose. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so code we are giving and same we are taking as description. This value set we are going to use in the general ledger application. When you say general ledger in the chart of accounts, validation type independent only we use, but other types also we'll discuss and we'll understand. For now, you take this point. And value data type, if you want to enter alphanumeric, okay, it could be number or text. The character will support for that. Finally, you have to set as a subtype as a text and maximum length. Within this value set, the companies what you are going to create. For the companies, what codes you want to provide. The code you want to have with the 4 digits, that's what you can set here. And we don't set any minimum value and maximum value. Just to understand what purpose Oracle given we discussed, but generally we don't set minimum maximum values. So business users are not going to create the companies in this value set. Only consultants create companies within the value set. That is the reason we no need to set restriction. We know. So what is the format we have to follow when you create the values in the value sets? And ideally, these also we don't enable. Okay, since Oracle is giving, we discussed. So this is how we can create the value set. Okay, this is how we can create the value set. Any questions here, please? The same we can follow and you can create the value sets for rest of segments. We will see that one by one we'll create. So before we proceed with the next value set, any questions here, please? No questions. Then say save and close. Again, click on create. We'll create value set for department segment. You can give the name as max department. Select module as a general ledger. Select validation type as a independent. Select value data type as a character. Subtype as a text. So when we talk to the client, okay, they take the decision what is the length they require for department, 2 digits or 3 digits or 4 digits. Accordingly, you can set up. For our testing purpose, I'm going to take as a 4 digits. Rest already we discussed what purpose Oracle given, but ideally we don't use. If you want to use when you're working for some clients, if required, you can set those. Say save and close. Click on create icon. The next segment is account segment. Say max account. The value set name is max account. If you want to provide description, you can provide, or else you can ignore it. Select module, general ledger application. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. So maximum length. So here length is going to be 5 digits. Always for accounts we use length as 5 or 6 because they maintain, every company maintain accounts in thousands, in lakhs also. So that is the reason length you can provide 5 for our testing purpose. And when we are working for client, when we talk to the client, they may choose 5 digits or 6 digits or 7 digits. Accordingly, you can set here. Now click on save and close.
Lakshman, account will be always numbers, no? Or it can be characters as well.
Accounts always
Numbers.
Numbers. Accounts or companies or departments, everything will have some code. There should be description for that. Here you see that. See accounts. These are
we
the
are
accounts.
giving value data type as a character. So why are we not selecting number there?
If you select number, you cannot enter the description. Or else, sometimes what we do is, okay, in the number only, okay, so if there is some need, certain account, certain, what I can say is, account you have to create as, say, A11. This A system will not allow if you select number.
Okay, so that's what my question was. Can we create a character as well in account, or it should
yes,
always
you can
be
create. You can create. If you select character, you can create like this. You can give the number and you can enter any text.
Okay.
If you give only number, here,
only.
if you give only number, we created, right? Let me find out. Max account. Sorry, max. Click on edit, whatever you created, you can see. If I give, okay, here number, okay, if I give a number here also you have to provide the number. Then only number you can enter. You can enter 11 only. If you want to enter some A or B or C, you cannot enter, system doesn't allow. So to keep the flexibility, we don't know, right? In the future, how they may want to introduce some few accounts, maybe for reporting purpose, other aspects. That is the reason always we'll try to keep the flexibility. If you need number, you can choose number. You have to go with the number only. If you choose character, You can go with a number. If you want to go with alphanumeric, yes. The flexibility you can have. That is the reason always we go with a character. Anyway, you can get the number. If you want to use only number, enter only numbers.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what we have to understand about it. Now, as per our chart of accounts, the next segment we are going to create is intercompany. So create value set for intercompany. When you talk about intercompany, just what are the companies we are going to have within this company segment, the same companies we will maintain under intercompany segment also. The company segment, how you created as it is, you have to create intercompany segment also. Name will be different, rest of everything should be same. If you choose 4 digits for company, here also 4 digits, the maximum length, you have to choose 4 digits. So that's very important point. Anybody is from EBS background?
Yes, Lakshman.
Okay. So can we use company value set for intercompany in EBS?
I think yes, we can
Yes.
use because we
can
have
use
the
and
same
we
values.
use. Yes,
Yeah.
we use it. But fusion, you should not use it. Okay. You have to create the separate segment for intercompany. The reason is, okay, this point only for the guys who are coming from EBS background. Others just can make a note if you want to make a note, but not useful for you. So in EBS, we set the security rules at segment level. But in the fusion, we set SR at value set level. Okay, if you are assigning company value set to intercompany, for company segment level, whatever security rules you set, that would be applicable for intercompany if you assign the same value set. So that is the reason. Okay, so we don't use company value set for intercompany, since that works at segment level. When it works at segment level, that would be applicable for value set also. So company you are assigning on value set, company level you are setting on SR security rule. So when you are assigning for company, whatever the value set you are assigning, that would be applicable for that. If you are assigning the same value set here, it would be applicable for this intercompany also. That is the reason in EBS, yes, since segment level, okay, segment level you are just setting, you are implementing the security rules, that is fine. But in the fusion value set level, we are going to set up security rule. That is the reason you should not assign company value set to intercompany segment. Okay, if you set security rules for company value set, if you are assigning to intercompany, the same will be applicable. EBS, it works as a detached. Anyway, your company, you are setting at company level. So whatever you have in the value set, even if you are assigning to intercompany, doesn't applicable, because company segment is different, segment and value sets are different. So this is the point you have to make a note if you are coming from EBS background. If you are not from EBS background, the simple point is, for intercompany also you have to create the value set, even you are going to have the same companies in intercompany, whatever you have in the company. Whatever the companies you can have in the company value set, same we require for intercompany segment. Still, you have to create the separate value set. So this is a point we have to make a note. So let's see how to create the value set. So click on create. Say max intercompany. Select module. You can say module or application, both are same. Module or application. So validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. What is the maximum length we use for company? Same you have to use here, because same values we copy and create in the intercompany value set. So 4 digits. Say save and close. So what is the next segment? Location. Okay. Location you can ignore, not required. Let's create this 3 more, total 7 enough. Create project segment. Okay. For project segment, if you are going to create, first create value set for project. Click on create. You can name it as max project value set. Select module as a general ledger. Validation type independent. Value data type character. Subtype is text. When you create the projects, what is the code you want to give for those projects? How many digits? We talk to the business, accordingly we provide the length. For now, you can take 4. So save and close. And we have 2 more segments. For these 2 segments also, we have to create the separate value sets. So in future, we can convert this future 1 to maybe some service or location, something else. Depending on the business requirement, we can convert. The same way future 2 also you may convert. So we are just creating the buffer space as a 2 future segments, so that in future, if any new segment is required, you can use this. Once you create the chart of accounts and you create recording, after creating the chart of accounts, if you start using the chart of accounts to record the transactions, you should not add any additional segments. If you add any additional segments, the existing data will get disturbed. Okay. So that is the reason you should not plan to create the segments in the future. In future, what are the segments you may require, that you have to plan when you create the chart of accounts. So for these 2 segments also, we have to create the separate value sets. Click on create.
Lakshman, one question.
Yes.
Can we not create a segment without a value set? I mean, why are we creating value set for future as well?
Not possible. Not possible. Are you from EBS?
Yes.
EBS you can create optional field. Right?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yes, that's what.
Yes.
Without value set, we
Yes.
can create segment there, but
Yes.
here why?
That's what I'm mentioning. In EBS, when you are creating the segment, the value set field is optional. You can complete your chart of accounts structure creation without value set also, but Fusion, it is mandatory. When you create the segment, value set is mandatory, means before segment, you have to create value set, right? Right?
Okay.
Once value set is ready, when you are creating the segment, you can assign that value set to segment. That is the reason we are following this sequence.
Okay.
Yes. Select application and validation type you can keep as a independent. Data type you can set character. Subtype is text. Length you can provide 4 or 5. Okay, we don't know like how we are going to convert this segment name in the future, but you can keep 4. And another important point is, whatever the maximum length you are providing now, that can be increased in the future. You can increase, but you cannot decrease. If you set 4, with the 4 you create the values. In future, if you want to make it as 3, it will conflict. You are trying to tell to the you will be telling to the system, so allow only 3. When you say allow 3, already it allowed 4. That is the reason system will not understand, there will be conflict with the existing data. You cannot decrease this maximum length for any value set. Always you can increase. System will support. Say save and close. And create one more value set. Click on create. You can say max feature 2. Select application. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. Length you may provide 4. So this is how you can create the value set. Say save and close. Now we'll see all the value sets, whatever we created. You search with max so that all the value sets, whatever we created, you can see here. Okay, you can create. So once value set is ready, don't create values. If you want to create values, you can select. If you want to create the company values, you can select max company value set and you can click on manage values and here you can create the values. But when you are creating the values, what we have to do is we have to set value attributes. Ideally, system has to display value attributes here. So it is not displaying. Why it is not displaying? Because you not yet completed all these setups. Up to here, we have to complete the setups. Once you complete all the setups, that means once your accounting key flex field is deployed with your chart of accounts, then only you can set value attributes for the values what you create in any value set. So EBS, you can create directly values in the value sets, but in the Fusion, you have to wait till you deploy the accounting key flex field. This is a note if somebody is from EBS background. If you're not from EBS background, simple point is after creating the value set, you have to follow the rest of sequence. After completing all these setups, then you can create the values in the value sets. Since your value set is ready, you should not plan to create the values. That will become incomplete value definition. Okay, it will become incomplete value definition. So here system should allow us to set some other additional information. It is not showing because our chart of account is not at all ready. Even it is ready, it doesn't show anything here. You have to deploy it. Once it is deployed, these value sets will be qualified to maintain the values. So that's how it works. That's what we have to understand. Okay. So we created 4 value sets. Any questions from anyone, please?
Yeah, I have one question. Sorry. So here we have companies like suppose the financials or consulting, they are like different legal entities, right? They each may have their own PL statement or balance sheet. So it is the segment.
1 second. Let's not talk about those others. Nobody is aware of that. When we deal with that, you can talk about it.
Actually, my question is very confusing to understand how to create a segment, what it is to define a segment. So that's the basic question actually.
Yes.
How?
That, see, I clearly mentioned in the last session, I'm trying to introduce concept called as chart of accounts. Okay. And again, another level, we'll talk about what are the best practices when you create the chart of accounts, what you should take as a segments, what you should not take as a segments. These all I will explain after completing one topic called as enterprise structure.
Okay, enterprise structure. Okay.
Yeah. So there you have to understand many points. Once you are clear, based on that enterprise structure related information also you will align with the segments and what you have to take as segment, what should match to what. There you will find answers. Okay. So one go we are not going to understand few things.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, few things in one go we are not planning to understand. I can explain everything, but 50% it will go over the head for many people. You will come to know.
Thank you.
Okay. You will come to
no
know
problem. Thank you.
And there is a time for that. Yeah. Fine. Any other questions, please?
Lakshman, just one basic question. How we come into conclusion whether we have to, whether there will be a 7 segment or 5 segment or 9? It depends on the client, the business, or
on that point. Last session we discussed very high level. So in every chart of accounts, company and account is mandatory. Along with that, definitely we use the department also. If they are performing internal transaction between the branches or between the companies, if they want to track that internal transactions, we use intercompany segment. And future purpose, we create 1 or 2 additional segments as a future 1, future 2. So apart from that, based on the industry, what they are into, accordingly you can have additional segments. They come up. So we want to track the location wherever it is applicable in the most of the transactions. we are into service industry, we have a different type of services or different line of services or different classification of services. Even we want to track that information as a part of transaction. So that's how we can add those additional maybe 2 to 3 segments, whatever they need, apart from this standard segment, what we use in most of the projects. Okay. So these we use and these we use. Rest maybe 2, 3, whatever they need, what additional data they want to capture in each and every transaction, along with the company, department, account, intercompany, future segments, whatever they require, we add it. If it is a manufacturing that related to some process line or service, or else by default, maybe they want to track the location, say they're operating the business, maybe in 2 locations, 2 branches they have, okay, or else 2 companies they have. The companies are operating the activities, they may perform the activities in the different locations also. So in that location, how much cost they are incurring, how much revenue they are generating, they may want to capture the details for reporting purpose. In that case, you can have a segment called as location. Okay.
Okay.
So the
in this we have to
detailed discussion we will establish in the next phase of discussions about chart of accounts.
Okay, but initially we have to decide whether it is 7 or 8. Later we cannot add the 10th one, right? Like
Correct,
the future
correct.
one.
Once
Okay.
it is finalized, we are going to freeze. We cannot do any changes. In future, you may need additional segments. That is the reason we are keeping buffer segments.
Okay.
These you can convert and you can use it. Yeah. So don't take the point as this is what I'm trying to explain. So this is just 50%. Rest 50 or 40% you will come to know after discussing about one concept called as enterprise structure. After discussing about enterprise structure, certain things you will be able to align with the chart of accounts. There I will talk about what are the best practices we have to follow when you design the chart of accounts for any client, what you should not take as a segments, what you have to take as a segments. Those points also will discuss very detailed. Fine. If you have any questions here, please. No questions. So we created a value sets. Okay. So we created value sets. Now we'll go and create chart of account structure. Okay, we'll go and create chart of account structure. So go to implementation project. Here is the task. Manage chart of account structures. Click on go to task icon. And where we can create the chart of account structure? Anyone? Where we can create the chart of account structure?
Side of flex view.
In accounting,
Accounting key flex view.
In accounting key flex field. Yes, the name is accounting key flex field, but display Oracle is giving as accounting flex field. When you see accounting flex field, that is nothing but accounting key flex field only. Now within the accounting flex field, we are going to create the chart of accounts. To create the chart of accounts in accounting flex field, you just click on search. Now system is displaying accounting flex field. Where we have this accounting flex field or accounting key flex field? Where we have this?
General ledger.
General ledger. These points you should be able to recall. Okay, within the general ledger, we have accounting flex field. Within the accounting flex field, you can create the chart of account structure and you can create the chart of account structure instances. Now, let's see how to create the chart of account structure. Okay, to create the structure, what you have to do? You have to use this task. We'll repeat. Task name is manage chart of account structures. Click on go to task icon and click on search. You can see the accounting flex field. Now click on manage structures. click on manage structures. In fresh instance, you don't see any value sets, you don't see any chart of account structures or instances. Fresh instance, you have to create everything from the scratch. We are following the same process. In case of fresh instance, what we do, that's what we are doing in our classes. To create our own chart of account structure, you have to click on create. Here we have to provide the structure code, structure name, description, delimiter. When you create the chart of account structure, we don't give the name as a chart of account structure. We give the name by following where we are creating this chart of accounts. Where we are creating chart of accounts within the accounting key flex field or accounting flex field. By including that name, always we create the chart of accounts structure name. So we ideally give the name. If your company name is, client name is Max, we give like Max. Where we are creating the chart of accounts in accounting flex field, we give the name as, this is how we provide name when we create the chart of accounts. So follow these points, whatever we are discussing, that's what we have to do. Don't create chart of account structure name very generic as a Max chart of accounts. No, create as a Max accounting flex field. And the same structure code you can use as a name. If you want to use, you can use as a description. Now here we have to specify the delimiter. What does it mean by delimiter? Say you take example, you have company department accounts. For everything you have a codes. Now I'm going to record the transaction for consulting services. Company code is 2. And which department is performing this transaction? Marketing. Marketing means 4. What activity they are doing? They spend travel expense, means 2. 2, 4, 2. By looking at that, you cannot understand all the time. 2 is company, 4 is department, 2 is account. Sometimes 24 may be company, or else 42 may be department, then where is the account? To avoid that confusion in the system, we have to separate these codes. This is the company code, this is the department code, this is the account code. So these we have to separate. You may put dot, it makes more sense. If anybody look at that 2, 4, 2, they can understand there is separation with a dot. So the same here we call as a delimiter. Delimiter is nothing but segment separator. When you create transaction by selecting company code, department code, account code, how that codes need to be separated, that you can set as a delimiter. Put dot. Okay, put dot, delimiter. Now click on save. Once you click on save, system will allow you to create the segments. Here we have a segment section, but the create function is disabled. The create function is disabled. So you have to provide the code name and you have to set the delimiter so that this would get enabled. And when we are practicing, please make a note. This page allows only one user at a time. Now I'm creating this chart of accounts. Same time, if you are on the same page, it won't allow me to save it. So whenever somebody is creating the chart of accounts within this page, it will log the page for that user. And once the user will exit from the page, it will unlock. Then you can start working. For you, it will lock. Other users, it won't allow. So this is applicable only for chart of account related creation. For other setups, whatever we do, it is not applicable. So at a time, only one person can be on this page to create the chart of accounts. Same time, somebody can access this page, but when they are trying to save, it won't allow. Now, if nobody is on this page, I can save it. Otherwise, I cannot. Click on save. I save because nobody is accessing this page at this point of time. Now, I created chart of account structure name. What is our chart of account structure name? Max Accounting Flex Field. Okay, Max Accounting Flex Field is the chart of account structure name. And we given the delimiter and we save. Now you see segment related create icon is enabled. Okay. So creating segments and other relevant configuration we'll see in the tomorrow session. Now we almost reached the time limit what we set. So in tomorrow session, we just completed these two. We created value sets. We created chart of accounts, structure, name, definition, and rest all these. Yes, we will be able to complete all these setups in the tomorrow session. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, please stay back. We'll discuss. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow same time. From tomorrow, we will connect sharp 8:30. Okay, sharp 8:30 we'll start the session instead of waiting around 10 minutes to start the session. Okay, from tomorrow. So we'll start the session sharp 8:30 and we'll send the meeting link also before 10 minutes. Before 10 minutes, we'll get meeting link. So please try to be available sharp 8:30 so that we can start the session on time and we can wind up by 10. So that is the update. So any questions, please stay back, we'll discuss.